Hello! For this video, I'm actually going to be assembling a miniature. It's from the board game Kingdom Death, which is kind of like an adult dark fantasy, grim horror, dungeon crawler survival board game. It's really intense and awesome. Um, I tried making a video of assembling one other figure before, and I ended up sort of having a hard time, like focusing on the recording and doing that at the same time, because the pieces were just super, super, super tiny and detailed on that one. And I figured I'd give it another try with sort of a simpler figure with small but slightly larger pieces. So this is the entire sprue on this one. Um, and like the smallest piece is that right there, which isn't bad compared to the piece on the other one, because that had like armor that had like animal heads on the armor, like on like shoulder pieces and stuff, and those had like multiple parts for like the jaw of the animal and just were super detailed. Um, so this looks like it's manageable. So we're gonna try this out. So I'm gonna let you see kind of this workspace. So I got this sandpaper. These tweezers, although these are kind of big ones, so they're helpful in a couple situations, but a lot of times it is still easier to even just use my hands with these. I think I need some smaller ones. My X-Acto knife. A sprue. Sort of a plate just so I'm not cutting directly on my desk. Some super glue. And this fork is actually for if I get like a blob of super glue somewhere while it's still wet. I found that is like a good way to have like a little thing to be able to remove some of it. That's not gonna immediately get like stuck on the wet super glue like a paintbrush might with the bristles. Or I guess the back of a paintbrush could work, but I just didn't want a chance like ruining the back of a good paintbrush. And it's kind of worked. So we'll get started. I have actually multiple monitors, so I have a set of instructions or like a diagram mostly on the one of my monitors, and I actually might listen to some ASMR myself, which you won't hear because I'm just doing webcam recording while working on this. So I just thought that was kind of funny to point out. Yeah, let's get going. Oh, and this character is called the Kingsman, and it's a nemesis enemy, which is one of the like bigger boss types basically in the game. Okay. Just checking something real quick. Okay, cool. There we go. Since things attached on two sides, it's easiest to use the X-Acto knife on one side and then like twist off the other, basically. There we go. And sometimes you can twist it without it, depending like how it's positioned. There we go. And there we go. Now, I'll just put the spoons aside in case I miss something, but I'm pretty sure I got everything. It definitely looks like it did. Maybe I should just throw it out, but I'll just check real quick. So now I'm looking at the diagram and making sure I have each of the pieces. See, that's his little crown. There's his face, which is clearly a mask. I guess you can't really see that. Let's see. His weapons here. His like halberd. His sword's over here. There's like his arm, which has a little kind of a buckler-ish thing on it. Okay, you really can't see that. I'm gonna get a better idea when I kind of have it together. You should sort of start being able to. Okay, so I definitely have everything. Oh, this you should be able to see. So he has like a big pile of feather plumes that go on the back of his helmet, which is kind of cool. So I could throw out the sprue, which is this. And now we have to clean up all of these pieces. So I basically look for places where the plastic was joined, and I use my X-Acto knife to take off a little bit more because it'll probably still have like a chunk where the connector was. And then when it looks okay, we take our sandpaper and we sand the places where we cut those off. So now the bottom of the shoe is super flat, and so is that top like connector area. And that piece is all good. Oh, also, I'd like to cite Fred's voice as somewhat of an inspiration for this video. He did a video recently where he pretended you were like the captain of a model ship he was making, and he was like cleaning you up and painting you and stuff, which was really cool. And thought it was really neat that, there was an ASMR video bringing attention to sort of like the model making and miniature making hobby, which I hadn't really seen done before in ASMR. So that kind of helped realize that, yeah, it kind of would be a good video or a good topic for one. And I was in the middle of making these, anyway, so I figured I'd try to do a video out of one. Demon Death is a really great board game, but it's definitely intended for adults, and it's definitely like very dark. It's meant to be sort of like grim cosmic horror. With like really unnerving monsters that play a lot with like body horror and such. But if you're cool with that, mechanically, or if you like those sort of like horror themes, mechanically it is an amazing board game. It has really good dungeon crawling. It has character building over time, sort of D&D style. Although you have to go through a lot of characters, it is extremely hard and like unforgiving. But not just unforgiving in an unfun way. It's actually difficult and provides a good challenge. And aside from that, there is actually armor crafting with pieces that you get from monsters. You don't necessarily lose your armor if you lose the character. That other people can carry that back to your camp. And there is settlement building over time because you're basically trying to do whatever you can to build up a settlement that can survive in essentially like this hellscape that you found yourself in with a handful of other survivors. So you actually have to like grow that and make sure it doesn't starve, and it's really cool because it's combining a lot of awesome elements from different games into one like really fantastic campaign board game that lasts a very long time. This is one of the more human-like enemies, and actually one of the least scary designs they have, but it is unnerving. It has like this creepy mask over his face that's being held up by like two sort of like carved hands, and then on his armor, on like the chest plate, there's like this face with like hands covering its mouth, like it's being like egged or quieted, with like two kind of faces on the shoulder pads looking down at it. It's interesting. So it's unnerving, but it's subtly so. Unlike some of the other ones, which are just like outright directly creepy. Actually, I didn't put on some background ASMR. I've just been enjoying kind of narrating for you guys. I just thought I might in case there was like some super slow parts, and thought that could be kind of funny. Yeah. To let you know that I might. But nope, right now I'm just focusing on making this and narrating the video. And I think, oh, I saw this leg. I was about to say, I think we cleaned up everything, but nope. I do think that this is a good topic for an ASMR video, and what people should do, though, because it has sort of like the kind of meticulous ness to it that I think works well for ASMR. And then you also get different sounds from the various tools and such. Okay, so our pieces are all cleaned up. Let me show you a few more you can see well. So here is another leg, which has like a piece of cape on it. Here's his main cape. There's the back. Also, if you can see on the front, there's that chest armor I was talking about with like the two faces covering the person's mouth. Here is his halberd with a hand attached to it. And here is his sword. Okay. Oh no, is my super glue words. Is my super glue stuck shut? I have another super glue if I need to, but that's unfortunate. Seems like it is. That's sad. So I got this just from CVS. It's the first time I tried these like liquid control Loctite one. I meant the last one I had was the first time I tried it, and I did it on one figure so far, and it ultimately worked out. But it's like the runniest super glue I've ever used, so I just got it all over my hand. It's unfortunate. Okay. There we go. So we're attaching like this. Boop. And then that goes there. Boop. It's always good to kind of check out like where and how it attaches first, and then get your super glue. Now we hold this. It's not sticking there, and it is sticking to my hand. Okay. Now we hold this in place for a little while. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6. Adjusting. 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi.
12 Mississippi, 13 Mississippi, 14 Mississippi, 15 Mississippi, 16 Mississippi, 17 Mississippi, 18 Mississippi, 19 Mississippi, 20. And not sticking. Sometimes after it dries a little more, it actually will stick together better. So I'm not going to try applying more yet. I'm just going to try getting that to stick for a little longer. Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, Mississippi 6, Mississippi 7, Mississippi 8, Mississippi 9, Mississippi 10, Mississippi. Okay, this is staying right now. I'm not going to push out too hard, but I think it'll be okay unless I need to like attach something to that piece that we just put on. So I'll put that down and look what I need to attach next. And I absolutely need to attach something to that piece, though it also leans on the center piece too, so it might be okay. Basically, I need to attach this foot, which has a sort of triangle-shaped edge on the back, to that new like triangle crease that was made right there. So like that. And a whole bunch just tried to come to pour out before I even squeezed it, so just took the dot that was there. Oh, this is actually going well. Like it's already slightly sticking when I release it. Just put pressure on it for a little longer. 1 Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, Mississippi. I think that is okay. And then we have this whole other leg here next. And this almost has like a puzzle piece look to it. Like, look at that side, how that's kind of carved out. You can actually see on camera, you can see it. So that goes around like the center plate of his armor there, and like all the way up to the chest armor. Okay. And I got a little too much glue right there. So using the fork. Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, Mississippi 6, Mississippi. There we go. You can see he's coming along nicely. Okay. So the next step shows attaching both of the weapons at once. So you can start with either one. Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, Mississippi 6, Mississippi 7, Mississippi 8, Mississippi 9, Mississippi 10, Mississippi.
I'm not gonna move this for longer because it's kind of like in an awkward crease. Oh, wait. Never mind. I can move away from it, but I'm a little afraid. Oh, wow. It didn't break, I just dropped it, so I guess it is secure. Look at that. And sorry for the eat response there. Don't know if this is becoming not good ASMR since I'm being a little louder, or if it's just still fun. The sword actually has a little tiny knob on its side, right there. And so there's actually like a slot on the side of his armor that actually slots into, which is kind of cool. So this one's actually really easy to put in.
1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, Mississippi 6, Mississippi 7, Mississippi 8, Mississippi 9, Mississippi 10,
Oh no! It stuck to my finger, and then I tried to move my finger away. It didn't stick to his armor, which is still too liquidy. So I need to give that a little longer. This can stay there, but it's still super wobbly. It feels like it'll fall out if I touch it. Like on the lower part of the sword, but there you can see his sword is resting at his side. And then I definitely need to get that longer because I'm pretty sure that his hand on that side goes down and makes it look like it's holding the sword. I think. Yeah. Or it's at least near it. Now there does seem to be like a slot that attaches. Showing you the hand. While I wait, because I'm afraid of attaching this to this second, or touching the sword too much yet. Just testing if it's okay. Seems like it should be, but I'll give it a little bit longer. Okay, it's like his hand's at a fist right next to the sword, not necessarily holding it. I looked at the picture after they show you where to attach it to see how it actually ends up looking. Had like glue strands on my hand. I didn't want them sticking to it. Yay! This is a really awkwardly hard position to get it into. Basically, like, in the crease there of his cape, there's like a little nub that has like a notchy shape. You have to notch the top of the hand into that, like basically in his cape. It's really hard to hold it and get it there. So I'm going to try to use the tweezers. And they're not really helping. Maybe a little bit. Nope, I don't have glue on it yet. I'm trying to figure out the right direction for it to sit in there and like the angle it goes out. You'll generally be able to tell, like it'll just slot in just right when it's the right direction. Sometimes it's really hard to tell. But on this, it's hard to even like keep it there and move it around, so. I put some glue on because I think I had the idea. Hope I'm right. Yeah, that looks good. Oh no! It's moving slightly, which at this makes a bigger difference. There we go, I got it just at the right position again, or at least as far as I can tell it looks right to me. And we'll let that sit for a moment. Because I feel like in that case, with it being up so precise and hard to hold there, if I kept holding it, it would actually just move it out of place. So as long as it was stuck enough, that one left alone, it would stay there. I should move off and let it do its thing. And right now I'm just getting a little bit of glue off my hands. If you ever get super glue stuck on your hands, just let it dry. It'll feel a little uncomfortable, but you kind of get used to it. It's not that bad. And then when it's dry, you could just peel it off. Okay, we're almost done. We actually just have his head with the mask, the little crowny bit of his helmet, and then the big feather plume sticking out of the helmet. Oh, and of course the base, which I need to go pull out and put together, because you get like an outer and inner part of the base, which you can sometimes kind of pick, because some of them have like no texture and some of them have textures on it, but I've generally just been using the no textured ones for all of them. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a moment. While he's sitting there. So this is the bag of bases that comes with it. They're different sizes. And the size matters for it because it shows how many spaces your pieces take up in the dungeon tiles, basically. And they say on them like how big they are. So I think you can't see this, but this one says 30 millimeters. It's engraved on the inside there. Now you can see it. And then the bottom has the creator's logo on it. And then inside there, I could have the inner plating be, say, this flat thing. I guess it has a little bit of a texture, but not much of one. Or some ones that have like special things on them. Like this one has, it's a little hard to explain, but when you first end up in this world, you sort of fall into this place where the entire floor is like tiled with stones that look like sort of like face masks. made masks of people's faces. And so that's what this plate is. I'm guessing he is going to be 50 millimeters, the 2x2 size. I mean, 2 tiles by 2 tiles. There's a character called Form that is 3x3. And he was in a separate box, so he's actually not in this bag. But there's also a really giant monster called the Phoenix, who has this base. And this is a comparison. This is 2 tiles by 2 tiles. This is 1 tile by 1 tile. Yeah, the Phoenix is giant. And like I said, I assume he's the middle size because most bosses are at least that big. Let me search. King Death, Kingsman, base size. 50 millimeters. Yep. Just as I thought. This one already has this thing in it, and it doesn't seem like I can remove it, but I don't remember pre-gluing one together in this size. Maybe I did a while back, but I don't want it to not be glued and come undone on me, and I can't get it out, so I mean over time, so it probably is glued, but it's possible it just stuck together. So I'll just put this aside for right now and make one of these. The inside part doesn't matter so much, just the edges. And now I get my fork and spread the super glue all over the base. And on my hand, because, of course. You probably can't tell. It's very shiny, but I think it doesn't show up in the camera. And now we have a nice base waiting for him. And that was a lot of glue. My eyes actually so slightly hurt because of the fumes from that. Yeah. So as I said, this is like super runny glue, so you always get way more than you intend to. At least I do. I'm probably just messy. I'm not sure if I don't think I did, but if I took off a tiny notch I needed. Nope, that's how it goes. Cool. I was afraid for a moment that there was a notch there that I needed that wasn't there, but no, it just used the edge of the feather basically. It does notch out a tiny bit, but you're doing it to get like the angle of it puffing out basically at a curve. One Mississippi, two. This feels like it'll be a while before I can let go of it. Because right now it's completely liquidy. And there we go. See his sword, his halberd, and his big helmet with the feather tuft on top. That puffs out. And all we need to do now is get him on a base. Which I have occasionally had be the hardest thing. Normally not. But I've had some figures who just don't want to stick to their base. Ah! The feather came off his head. I'll attach him to finish attaching him to because I had to push him down. I'll finish attaching him to the base first and then fix the feather so this doesn't keep happening. I feel like they should have suggested putting the base first because the feather is such a delicate piece. The way it was sitting on. He is not ready to be pushed down to get the feather in his cap yet. So I am not going to try that this second, but in just a moment I'll try that again. I should put a little bit of glue on the feather and I'm letting it get drier and stickier, basically, while I'm waiting for him to be okay. I can pick him up, so that's a good sign. That doesn't mean that applying pressure won't make him break at this point.